welcome to what I assume is a Black Clover panel. I just kind of got up and walked over here. Am I correct in that assumption? Yeah. Okay, fantastic, good. Then I'm calibrated. My name is Dallas Reid. I play Asta, and I am the assistant director for this program. The dub, anyway. I don't really touch the Japanese version. I'm underqualified, you might say. I'll keep vamping for time while we get this mic working.
Okay. It fell out. Hi. I am Jill Harris. I don't know how to handle a microphone. And I voice Noelle in Black Clover.
All right. Well, now that you know who we are and what we bring to the table, let's get this show on the road. Does anybody have any burning questions about the television program Black Clover or the people involved?
I have a question.
What you got?
Since the merger of Funimation Crunchyroll, how's it been around the office or studio since that happened? Did you guys find that weird?
The weirdest part for me, at the end of the day, Funimation, Crunchyroll, that entity has been purchased and sold so many times that as long as they keep letting us make it, we've kind of stopped paying attention. This one got us a new building, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Or a floor on a building, I should say. It's very, very funny getting on the elevator with a bunch of squares that work in finance and titling. And they're wearing their chinos and their button-up t-shirts, and we're rolling up in crazy Hawaiian shirts and basketball shorts. And they're always very respectful, but there is definitely an air of what could possibly be going on here that this is an appropriate outfit for?
The other day you got off, and because our receptionists often blast music.
There's a Bluetooth that leads to the PA system for the office floor.
What song was going?
I believe it was Man in the Box by Alice in Chains, specifically the part where he screams Jesus Christ. And the guy in the elevator doors open to This is what happens on y'all's floor? Depends on who's got the Bluetooth, and the elevator doors close and they go back to their lives a little more confused than they were a minute ago. Hi. Yes, I saw a hand in the back.
How did you guys get started with voice acting?
A classic. You want to go first?
We have opposite stories.
Yeah, I think your story's better.
So yes, I was like a 10-year-old kid who watched anime and cartoons, and I realized that was a job, and I was like, ooh, that's what I want to do. Fast forward to when I'm about 13, I'm at a family reunion, and people are just talking to each other, and I overhear one of my cousins, someone says, what do you do for a living? And she goes, oh, I'm a voice actor. And I was like, what? And so I ran over to her, and she was a voice actor, and so she helped me get started. I set up my own home studio when I was about 14, 15. She helped me cut my first demo. At 15, I started auditioning for audiobooks and video games and all of that stuff, recording from home in my closet. And when I was 19, I moved down to Texas with the explicit goal of working at Funimation. And I did, and am. And here I am.
Yeah. And like she said, my story is the opposite. It begins when I was 8 years old, and the General Motors plant in Baltimore, Maryland shut down. And they gave my dad two choices, Detroit or Dallas. And he said, well, that's my son's name. And he packed us into a truck and he moved us down to Texas. And then nothing for 10 years. And then I ended up, I can't even remember the elective I was supposed to be in. I think it was journalism. And journalism was all full up. So they were like, well, we got to do something with this kid. And they put him in theater. And I came home after receiving my schedule like, what the am I supposed to do with this? I don't want to get on stage. I don't even know how to act. And then I got up on stage and the theater teacher assured me that I did know how to act. And it turns out being told you're good at something when you're a teenager is a pretty good way to make sure that you stick to it. So I just kept doing plays in high school. We did The Crucible, we did The Importance of Being Earnest, in which I was cast as the priest whose name none of us could agree on how to pronounce. We ended up going with Chajul. And then I got into community college, and I was like, man, you know, that kind of sucks. That's probably the last acting I'm going to get to do, because I got to buckle down and start focusing on whatever my real job is going to be. And so that real job at that time was working part-time at a college bookstore. And then one of the days, a guy came up and he was like, hey, I saw that you got cast in the college play, The Importance of Being Earnest. This time I had stepped up to the titular role of Ernest. And I was like, yeah, you should come see it. And he was like, well, are you any good? And I was like, that's kind of a blunt, rude way to put that. But I mean, I think so. Evidence suggests. And he was like, okay, then why don't you put your name on Funimation's open auditions list? And I was like, who's Funimation? And he was like, we were just talking about how you watch Yu Yu Hakusho. And I was like, oh, them, they do that. And he was like, well, they do the English version of that. I was like, okay, cool, I'll put my name on that list. And I put my name on that list, and 6 months later, I got an email that was like, hey, your name came up, time to come do your open. And I went in, and they gave you a binder full of like iconic anime characters as a trap, because what they don't want you to do is go in there and do an impression of, you know, Sean Schemmel's Goku, but Goku's lines are in there. So I picked characters that I deliberately picked characters that I did not know, and went in there and gave it my best. And as luck would have it, the person holding the opens that week was Colleen, and she had a show on the table that she thought I would be good for, and she just called me in, and it snowballed from there. So complete accident, never would have happened if General Motors wasn't crumbling to dust in like the late 90s. And that's how I got here. Yes.
Is there any lines or specific banter that you guys had trouble like getting right, or like took a lot of takes, or was hard to get through?
Generally, they don't cast you if it takes a lot of takes.
Well, like, was there anything too emotional that, or like, I'm asking a question for a friend, so.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Oh no, I was just I need to think.
Or do you have any favorites then, maybe?
We can stick to the original question. We were just kind of making light of the idea of having to do too many takes. But yeah, if you're doing more than like 4 takes, something is wrong with either the actor, the director, or the scene, and it's not usually the scene. So let's, like, I think for me, any scene that I had to do with Micah's character, Yuno, if Micah was already in, was always very, very hard, because Micah is just one of the most effortlessly funny people that I think exists. And one time, his character looked my character dead in the eyes, and instead of saying what was on the paper, he said, I will be the Quizzard King. Just made it about trivia, and I think I laughed for 5.5 minutes while Chris George sat outside the booth yelling into my headphones, it's not that funny! It's not that funny! You don't have to answer every question what comes our way.
Like a difficult line, or
Maybe just, you know, something you had some fun with, something that took a little oomph.
I guess I'll say the fight with Vanica. I am a huge Lindsay Seidel fan. I think she's phenomenal. And when I heard her as Vanica, I was like, oh man, I need to bring my A game. So I was just really focused on making that fight sound good, and people have told me that it was, and I am pleased.
Yeah.
Hi. Is there anything different you wish would have happened to your characters in the anime?
There are a couple of different places, and like it would have been terrible for me, like financially, if this had been the case, but there were a couple of different places where I was like, okay, fine, we're great, fantastic. It's finally time to ditch Asta and focus on Yuno. And they just never did. They just never did. And I wish they had, because he's ostensibly like the third lead character, but he's barely in it. But every time he is, it's just awesome.
Definitely.
I mean, I personally would be stoked if Noelle or any other member of the cast just killed Ghosh.
Ghosh is a problem. We all agree that Ghosh is a problem. Okay.
Can you say a line for me?
Do you have one specific?
My magic is never giving up.
Yeah, of course. My magic is never giving up! No problem. I see one way in the back. Yeah. I heard you talk about you're working on your voice acting, so the first thing I'm going to need you to do is project for me a little more. Yes, exactly like that, actually.
Okay.
I do need you to, I need to repeat the question.
Yeah.
It's the joke I'm trying to make, I'm sorry.
If a character you're voice acting in general is having a different tone of voice than you, like a different way of talking, how do you make them like, if they're like louder or quieter than you, how do you do that? Like when you get into their mindset of character.
Well, I think it's all about placement for me. Volume adjustments are, that just happens in the booth depending on what the scene is there for, but like, if I need to do someone deeper that lives a little further down in my chest than a higher voice, which is kind of up here in the throat and then moving into the nose for higher than that. And then, once you figure out how your slide whistle works, it's just turning the volume up and down.
Yeah, to jump on that, placement, and once you've been doing this for a while, you can just naturally click into it, the way that I imagine singers are, but when you first get started, it can be difficult. It took me a few years to figure out how to truly scream from my chest. I'm embarrassed because some of my screams were shrill before then. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
What do you look for in a role when you're choosing one?
We
We don't get to pick.
necessarily choose.
We don't get to pick. We go out for as many. We go out for as many as we think we're good for, and then someone either sends us an email or doesn't.
They're actually not really doing auditions anymore. We have, I guess what it's called is a voice database. At the top of the season, they sent us 26 sides of 26 different characters. And it's like young female, teen lead, all of these things. And so seems to be how directors cast now, is just going through this database and listening to your auditions and your voice. You don't really, you can go up to a director and be like, cast me as this character, but generally doesn't go over well.
It doesn't go over well a lot of the time, and there's no middle ground between it going over well and it going over as wrong as it possibly could. It will either make a director go, yeah, you might be a pretty good pick for that, I'll consider it. Or it will make a director go, well, I'm never casting you in anything ever again.
There are certainly folks that do that, and sometimes it works for them. Some directors appreciate that, appreciate your interest, but sometimes it goes horribly wrong.
Sometimes it does not go the good way, yeah.
I need everybody to like me, so.
It's crucial, absolutely crucial that everyone like me. I know it's impossible, but is it so much to ask? Okay, I see. Oh, right behind you, and then I'm sorry.
Could you say that you will be the Wizard King line?
Oh, yeah, of course. I'm going to be the Wizard King, even without any magic. It's just, it depends. He's sad in that one, but he says it's a fun. And then, yes, right in front.
Was there anything that happened like throughout the story when you were finding out, like as you were doing over the lines, that like took you by surprise or like made you emotional seeing the story unfold?
I generally watch the episode before I come in, so I'm never super surprised. I don't think you do, but you do read the manga.
I read the manga. I don't do episode by episode prep because I don't like to color my reads too much with what the original actor was doing. So I like to read the manga and kind of set it in my own voice first.
I guess one thing that I got really nervous about is when Noelle is fighting. I always ask this David Wald's character's name.
Veto.
Veto. I'm gonna remember. When Noelle is fighting Veto, she lets out a big scream, like a proper Asta scream. And something that not everybody knows is people in larger bodies have larger lungs. People in smaller bodies have smaller lungs. I was not sure that my lungs were up to the task, but they were. And I was so relieved.
Yes.
Okay. So if Funimation directed an anime based off your life as a voice actor, what would your title be or plot?
The title or plot? Well, plot, I think it's, a standard slice of life office show. Not like The Office, but like it takes place as an office. More like a Sakura Quest or like a new game, something like that. It takes place at a place of work. And the title, oh boy, I don't have a title. Do you have any ideas for any,
So, just creating a whole anime based around their life.
Yeah.
Sad girl wears the same pair of pajamas for 3 days in a row.
And then you turn it on and it's like, what is this? They're at work? Like this isn't about this sad girl at all. They're just at work. And then it will be just like every other anime title. It's nothing really to do with what the show is.
It's just one of those light novel titles that's a paragraph long. Yes, the kiddo there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So what were you guys voice acting before this?
What were we doing before Black Clover voice acting?
Yeah.
Okay. Hard to remember for you.
I was in a show called Planetarian. Trying to think of leads. I was in a show called Fuka. I got to do some singing in that. The other ones just don't really stick out to me. And then before I was working at Crunchyroll, I was doing a lot of indie games. Dread Out is maybe the most popular indie game that I've done.
And then for me, I was cutting my teeth on the harem circuit. That's where all the male voice types that are gonna go anywhere get a couple of harems under their belt first.
You got a higher pitched voice and you're funny.
If you've got a higher pitched voice and comedic timing, you are gonna see some ladies. That's the deal. I was doing that stuff before Black Clover. What scene most strained my voice in Black Clover? The scene that most strained my voice in Black Clover is the scene where he's fighting the Word Soul Devil with Yuno, and there is a big 9.5 second scream where it goes from he does a big line, and then it goes to that black and white, really kinetic animation that they do to match the manga when things are very intense, and then he just screams for 9.5 full seconds uninterrupted, and that was a lot. But the scene in any anime that strained me more than any other anime is a scene in Angels of Death. He is the stupidest man that's ever lived. And so he walks right up to what is obviously an electric chair, sits directly down in it, and then gets clamped into it and screams nearly uninterrupted for this time 3.5 minutes while being electrocuted.
Oh my god.
So it's like a very strained and shaky, like, for like 3.5 minutes. And that was so difficult.
Your voice.
It's
Drink
fine.
some water.
I'm fine. This is my third bottle today.
For me, it's I guess the episodes where Noelle is really like frantic, like the double date episodes. Our director Chris likes to highlight like 2 pages of dialogue and just scroll. And so he wanted that episode to be really funny. And so we would do like the whole 2 pages, and he'd be like, "Come in for it again and just make it more." That is his #1 direction that he gives me. I still have no idea what it means. And then we'll just come in again, and it's a bunch of screaming. So we'll do a bunch of screaming 2, 3, maybe even 4 times, and it hurts.
Do you have to prep your throat or like drink honey or like tea or something? Do you have a go-to like remedy for your throat when you're screaming?
It is good to warm up. I don't always do it. I usually do it if the character voice is very different from mine, like very high or very low, or if I'm going to be doing intense screaming. I always drink something called throat coat tea. It is disgusting, but it helps. And then for the especially gnarly sessions, there is a Chinese cough syrup called like Nin Jean Ko Palm or something.
It's a very difficult to pronounce name.
Also so disgusting, but it helps. It's actors found out about it. The guy that like voiced the Hulk or whatever was like, "It super helps me." So.
So how was it like working with Christopher Stafford?
Intimidating.
We, I don't know if everyone knows this, but we actually record separately. So I haven't had a lot of interaction with Chris Sabat. I do sometimes pass him in the hallway, and he's just like, "Hey, you!" I don't think he knows my name, and why should he? He's Christopher Sabat.
Yeah.
Did you have any like times where you just absolutely dreaded filming a scene or just didn't want to film the line because you were just too weird or like just like secondhand embarrassment?
There are a couple times in like Clover clips or the OVA where Noelle is sexy. And I'm not a super big fan of those scenes. I remember especially, the beach episodes were hard, but there was a bit where she was in a nurse's outfit, and I did the line, and the director's like, "Can I get one that's more like Betty Boop?" And so it was like, "Oh, sure." Yeah. Please don't watch it.
Obviously, I'm not going to be able to follow that. But that whole bit where Asta didn't have arms and he was walking around just being a complete gremlin, eating with his feet, and like doing sit-ups without arms, and just that whole thing, I was like, this is weird. Like, I'm a manga reader, I know that this doesn't even last an arc. Like, next week he'll have arms again and everything will be fine. Can we just skip to that? Like, yeah.
But how long does it take you on average to record an episode?
Depends on how prominent the character is.
Yeah.
Overall, they tend to be about 24 recording hours, and then divvied up between whoever's involved.
Yeah, so we have something called the line count, and there's some sort of formula, like X amount of lines, and X amount of reactions is expected to take an hour or whatever. So however many lines and reactions, they calculate the hours that we have. Again, it's depends on how much you're in the episode. I've had some Noel sessions that are 15 minutes. I've had others that are like 3 or 4 hours. So.
But for the entirety of Black Clover's run, it's an episode a week. Like, yeah, it's a week. It's the recording timeline.
Golden Dawn.
Dallas, are you able to do the Zach voice when he was fighting Eddie?
Fighting Eddie?
Something?
The
The great dude?
oh man, I don't remember anything he says to that kid.
There's a famous line, but I don't remember.
You can't tell me? Well, it sounds like I probably can't say it before 8 p.m. anyway.
That's the necrophilia.
Oh, yeah, I definitely can't say that before 8 p.m. So I'll just say, but turn out the lights, you little freak! Like,
Never said it.
Yes.
She's never watched Black Clover, so
Okay.
she can't name one.
One popular one is, I'm royalty.
yes, sir. No, I was looking at you.
Oh, me? Who's like one of your favorite characters in Black Clover besides your own office?
Charmy, and I also really like Gray.
Okay.
I knew you were going to take Charmy. Yeah. I really like Luck.
Oh.
I really like Luck, and I'm a Finral stan. I know he sucks, but I love him so much. He's learning to suck less.
Yeah.
Yes. Hello.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, wait. Okay. Hi. So you voiced Chio Yumehara from Second K, right? Like the original?
Yes.
Do you have a favorite line from it?
Oh, it's been so long.
That's the thing. I know it disappoints y'all, but we say them once, maybe
Yeah.
twice, and then never say them again.
I do remember there was a beach episode, and her whole thing is like, I got a new bathing suit to impress Psyche, and then of course, I forget her name, the blue-haired girl comes, and she is stunning, and Chio goes in like the back room, and she's like, why won't anybody notice me?
Hi, yes.
Did you ever get tired of yelling Asa?
Yeah. I knew what I was signing on for, though. It's a shonen anime, and she is the female.
I don't think we've heard from you yet. Yes.
What was your favorite line from Zach to say?
There again. You can't say them before 8 p.m. But I think my favorite line from Zach is the one about a certain religious figurehead and whether or not he might have breasts. Yes. Hello, right here.
Hi, good. So I'm not sure how to. Just out of quick curiosity, it says online you two are married. Is that still true? I'm just curious.
Yeah, definitely still true. I do not think we'd be running cons together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, so
It'd be too sad for both of us.
that was just a prequel. I just wanted that context. How did that happen? How did you two get together? Who started that? What was that like?
We actually worked together. We were love interests on a show called Hyoka, and that's where the initial spark happened. We would pass each other in the hallway and be like, you sound really good.
And then I saw somebody bullying her on the internet.
Literally.
That was my move.
Yes, they slid into my DMs after that, and we got coffee and we started hanging out, and we got together a little bit before Black Clover, actually, which is really funny because the director had no idea that we were together. So.
Hello, yes.
What are your favorite moments for each of the characters you voiced?
for Asta and then for Noel.
I'm having a difficult time remembering, but Noelle screams Vanica real big and real good. I think she like kidnaps Laura Petchka, and that felt good.
Favorite character moment from Asta for me has probably got to be that moment where he's facing. It's in the finale, I think. He's facing Don Levy, and he's just using everything he's learned from everyone throughout the series to put this guy in the dirt. Like there's one moment where he just like he takes Yami's sword and kind of elegantly swings it over his shoulder, and he just says like, "All I had to do was reach a key, big guy." And like that was just very fun to be kind of condescending as Asta. He doesn't get to do that a lot. Yes, hello.
So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the blooper reel from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood that the voice actors put together. Has there ever been any talk with the Black Clover cast of maybe putting one of those together?
Nobody really knows who or when or why, but somebody very much made a mistake that means we cannot do that anymore.
Yes. We used to call those bombs because it was to mess up another actor. One director forgot to take it out, and the episode was uploaded with
something
an inappropriate
not
goof.
so good.
So we are not allowed to do that anymore.
Yeah, we're allowed to kind of have fun with each other in the session, but then we have to go delete that immediately. Victor, kill it. Like you have to kill it. Yes. What?
Sorry. The sea dragons were you guys. You don't understand. I always lose my voice at cons, so I'm so sorry. I cannot do it, but I did it many times in the anime. So you can go listen to that.
Watch Black Clover, everybody. In the very back, I see ya.
Hi, yes. For you, again, you mentioned this one time about being in the anime. What was the hardest part of having to do each episode?
Having to what?
You each episode. For Noah.
This was for me. You always dread them. They're not my favorite. Was a little surprised that there was one in Black Clover. I was just like, please don't sexualize this 15-year-old. Please don't sexualize this 15-year-old. And oops, they did. So fortunately, it wasn't that bad. It didn't last too long. But again, not my favorite episode.
I think the hardest part is just that, like, and this happens to, it's obviously not as big a problem for the male characters because they get to be who they are all the time, but, like, beach episodes tend to, like, pump the brakes real hard on whatever momentum the show had. They always feel self-contained and broken out from the main story.
Do y'all feel better when y'all voice individually or as a group?
So we actually never voice as a group. It's all individual. Yes.
Is there a genre that you guys haven't touched before that has always been like I've always wanted to do some work in that, or a favorite that you have touched a little bit of everything?
That's difficult.
Oh man, I would love to get my hands on like a straight up and down horror show.
Yeah, well, you were in
It's not horror.
Junji Ito.
I was in the Junji Ito collection, kind of a little bit, but I think it was expensive. I don't remember. I would remember if I were something substantial.
Yeah, I would love to do horror as well. Like I said, I learned how to scream about 2 years ago, so I know I can just let out a real brutal one.
We good?
Yeah, it's about 15 minutes.
Oh, right on.
And questions don't have to be about Black Clover if you don't want. Oh, okay. The hand's going up. You.
So for Dallas,
Yeah.
3 of the animes that I love the most: Shonen Sample, Spy Family, and Black Clover.
Hey.
You're in all 3 of them.
Yeah.
How is the difference between each character that you play there?
Okay, well, Shonen Sample, it was my first lead role. So the biggest difference there is I had no idea what I was doing yet. So like that was just sort of, I would show up, I would look at Aaron and go, what do I do? And Aaron would go, you do it this way, and I would be like, okay, thanks. And then we do it that way. And then for Asta, he really sits right in my wheelhouse. He's loud, he's funny, both of those are very easy for me. And then for Spy Family, that guy was tricky, because he has several different switches, and he's flipping them aggressively all the time.
Your character in Spy Family would be the goat from Black Clover, right?
Yeah, well, he would. Well, not quite.
At least his sister is an adult.
Everybody's an adult. It's an important thing to remember. Oh, we're done. Wow, sorry. Hi, everybody.
Sorry,
Bye, everybody. What a fantastic panel. I didn't know it was lunchtime.
We will be back at our autograph at 3 p.m.
Yes.